The night was quiet in Ouagadougou, too quiet. President Ibrahim Traoré stood by the window of the presidential palace, gazing out at the slumbering city. The dry wind carried dust, swirling through the streets. But there was something else in the air, a faint, unsettling tension. For weeks, strange events had plagued the nation. Classified military strategies were leaking. Confidential meetings were exposed. Adversaries seemed to anticipate every move. Ibrahim knew this was no coincidence. Someone close, someone trusted, was betraying him. The truth gnawed at him, heavy and unshakable. Burkina Faso had fought hard for its sovereignty. Under Ibrahim's leadership, foreign influence had been expelled, troops sent packing, gold and land reclaimed, the nation's voice restored. But the ousted powers were not ones to forgive. Their anger simmered, and now, through whispers and shadows, they sought to reclaim control. Spies, Ibrahim suspected, had infiltrated his inner circle. One night, a message arrived, urgent and cryptic. A young officer, Captain Amadou Kaboré, had stumbled upon something alarming. Stationed in the northern region, he'd been monitoring radio transmissions when he intercepted a coded signal, concealed within a mundane agricultural broadcast. It wasn't about crops. It contained maps, names, and secrets meant only for the president's closest allies. Ibrahim summoned his most trusted advisors for a midnight meeting. No devices, no outsiders, just a sealed room and a heavy silence. Kaboré laid the evidence on the table, a dossier of intercepted communications. The traitor had a name, Colonel Moussa Sanogo, Ibrahim's longtime confidant, a man who'd stood by him through battles and shared his vision for a free Burkina Faso. Now, he sat at Ibrahim's side in briefings, privy to every defense strategy. Kaboré's voice was steady but grave. He's been feeding information to foreign operatives for months. The air grew thick. No one dared speak. Ibrahim's face remained impassive, but his heart ached. "No one moves," he said, his voice low and firm. "No arrests. We don't strike yet. If there's a snake among us, we follow it to its lair." The room exhaled, and the hunt began. The days that followed were a test of endurance. Ibrahim carried on as if nothing had changed, delivering speeches, greeting dignitaries, chairing meetings. But his eyes were everywhere, tracking Sanogo's every gesture, every word. The colonel was composed, his smiles disarming, his demeanor flawless, too flawless. Behind the scenes, Kaboré led a covert team, hand-picked for their loyalty. They shadowed Sanogo, tapped his communications, and traced his movements. What they uncovered was damning. Late at night, Sanogo slipped out of the palace in an unmarked black sedan, no escort, no guards. His destination was always the same, a nondescript house near the British embassy. To the untrained eye, it was abandoned. Ibrahim knew better. It was a hub for espionage. Kaboré's team installed a hidden camera across the street. One night, it captured everything. Sanogo entering the house, meeting two foreigners, one American, one British. They handed him a suitcase. He gave them a file containing Ibrahim's itinerary for the coming weeks. Ibrahim watched the footage in his darkened office, his fists tightening. This was the man who'd once shielded him from gunfire, who'd sworn to protect their nation's future. Now, he was trading it for foreign promises. Anger surged, but Ibrahim suppressed it. Emotion was a luxury he couldn't afford. He picked up the phone and spoke 2 words to Kaboré. "It's time." The trap was set. Sanogo was summoned to a high-security briefing on the top floor of the Ministry of Defense. He arrived, as always, confident and unruffled. But the room was different, no warm greetings, only a semicircle of armed soldiers and Ibrahim himself, standing like a storm about to break. Sanogo's smile faltered. "You were my brother," Ibrahim said, his voice resonant with betrayal. "Why?" Sanogo said nothing, his eyes darting to the exit. Ibrahim stepped closer. "You sold our nation for what? Money? Power? You think they'll save you now?" Silence. Kaboré opened the suitcase from the exchange. Inside were stacks of cash, a tracking device, and a USB drive. Ibrahim's voice was ice. "You're not going to prison. You're going to talk." In a windowless cell beneath the ministry, Sanogo sat alone, the weight of his actions crushing his once proud demeanor. Ibrahim watched through a one-way mirror, his face unreadable. Kaboré entered the cell, placing the USB drive on the table. "We've seen it all," he said. "Every file you leaked, every secret you sold. You can stay silent, but your handlers? They'll discard you the moment they know you're caught. We're your only path now." Hours passed. Sanogo's resolve crumbled. He spoke, his voice hoarse. A year ago, American and British agents had approached him, first with flattery, then bribes money, a villa in London, a cushy international post. They wanted Burkina Faso's resources, its strategic position, its government back under their thumb. Sanogo had believed their promises. "I thought I was securing my future," he whispered. "I see now they used me." Ibrahim entered, sitting across from him. The silence was heavy. "You didn't just betray me," he said. "You betrayed the farmers, the mothers, the soldiers who bleed for this land. You sold their dreams." Sanogo couldn't meet his gaze. "I'm sorry," he murmured. Ibrahim stood. "You'll answer for your crimes. But first, you'll help us undo the damage." Thus began a daring counter-operation. Using Sanogo's connections, Ibrahim's team fed disinformation to the foreign agents' fabricated plans, falsified troop movements, decoy schedules. The spies, unaware of Sanogo's capture, swallowed every lie. Kaboré orchestrated the effort from a clandestine command center, its walls lined with maps and screens. Ibrahim visited nightly, refining each move. The foreigners grew careless, their confidence blinding them. One operative, posing as a trade consultant named Carter, requested an urgent meeting with Sanogo at a safe house outside Ouagadougou. He hinted at a final phase, a plot to destabilize Ibrahim's government before the elections. Ibrahim's eyes blazed. "We end this now," he declared. The operation was silent, surgical. Sanogo, wired with a microphone and tracker, entered the safe house. His hands trembled, but he played his part. Carter and a British counterpart were waiting. "You've been quiet," Carter said, his tone sharp. "Is Traore onto you?" "He trusts me," Sanogo replied, handing over a doctored dossier. "Here's the next phase." Carter leaned in. "It's time to remove him. The election must not happen." Outside, Ibrahim listened through an earpiece, his jaw set. He gave the signal. Kaboré's team moved like phantoms, breaching the safe house. In moments, Carter and his accomplice were surrounded, weapons trained on them. "You're under arrest," Kaboré said. "You can't touch us," Carter spat. "We're protected." "Not tonight," Kaboré replied. Ibrahim stepped into the room, unarmed, his presence commanding. Carter glared, defiant. "You think this stops us?" "I don't," Ibrahim said. "But Burkina Faso does." By morning, the news broke. Foreign spies arrested in Burkina Faso plot to overthrow government. Embassies issued frantic denials, but the evidence, documents, recordings, confessions was ironclad. One official fled the country, another was expelled. The media storm grew, and Burkina Faso stood taller. In Ouagadougou, the dawn felt different, clearer, prouder. Crowds gathered, chanting Ibrahim's name. Radios crackled with the story of his triumph. Inside the palace, Ibrahim stood on a balcony, watching his people. He didn't smile. His duty was too great for celebration. That evening, he addressed the nation, dressed in his soldier's uniform, his voice resonant with resolve. "I speak to you as your brother, your son, your soldier," he began. "Foreign powers sought to break us, to steal our future through one of our own. They wanted chaos. They failed. The nation listened, from bustling markets to remote villages. I will never sell this land," Ibrahim vowed. "Not for wealth, not for promises. Burkina Faso is yours, and I will guard it with my life." The crowd roared, their pride echoing across the continent. Ibrahim was no longer just a leader, he was a beacon, a defender of sovereignty. Later, under a starlit sky, he sat with Kaboré. "You served your country well," he said. "I followed you," Kaboré replied. Ibrahim gazed upward. "They'll try again. A new plan, a new face. Then we'll stop them," Kaboré said. Ibrahim nodded. "Together, they'll never break us." The weeks that followed were a delicate dance of vigilance and strategy. Ibrahim knew the foreign powers would not relent. Their resources were vast, their networks deep. But Burkina Faso was no longer a pawn. The counter-operation expanded, with Kaboré's team identifying additional informants within the government. Each was quietly monitored, their communications intercepted, their loyalties tested. Ibrahim insisted on precision, no rash arrests, no public spectacles. The nation's stability depended on it. Sanogo, now a reluctant ally, provided critical insights into the foreign network. He revealed drop points, coded phrases, and the names of mid-level operatives embedded in NGOs and trade delegations. Kaboré's team cross-referenced this with their intelligence, building a web of connections that stretched from Ouagadougou to London and Washington. The scale of the conspiracy was staggering, a coordinated effort to undermine Burkina Faso's economy, incite unrest, and pave the way for a puppet regime. Ibrahim spent long nights poring over reports, his mind racing. He consulted with regional allies, sharing limited intelligence to counter foreign influence without compromising Burkina Faso's autonomy. At home, he launched subtle reforms to strengthen internal security vetting processes for military officers, encrypted communication channels, and a new training program for counterintelligence operatives. He knew the war was not just against spies, but against the erosion of trust within his ranks. Publicly, Ibrahim projected unshakable confidence. He visited villages, met with farmers, and listened to their concerns. His presence was a reminder that the government served the people, not distant capitals. In one dusty village, an elder grasped his hand. "You've given us our pride back," she said. Ibrahim smiled faintly, but the weight of his responsibility never left him. Behind closed doors, the counter-operation intensified. Kaboré's team uncovered a second safe house, this one in Bobo Dioulasso, where foreign agents were stockpiling equipment, drones, surveillance gear, and untraceable phones. A nighttime raid, executed with precision, yielded a trove of evidence and 3 arrests. The operatives, caught off guard, offered little resistance. Their interrogation revealed plans for a coordinated media campaign to discredit Ibrahim, timed to coincide with the elections. Ibrahim saw an opportunity. Instead of suppressing the story, he allowed controlled leaks to local journalists, framing the foreign plot as an attack on Burkina Faso's sovereignty. The public's reaction was fierce. Rallies erupted in support of the government, and social media buzzed with calls for unity. Ibrahim's team fed additional disinformation to the foreign network, exaggerating Burkina Faso's military readiness and hinting at fictitious alliances with global powers. The spies, rattled, began to second-guess their intelligence. As the election approached, the stakes grew higher. Ibrahim knew a single misstep could unravel everything. He doubled security around key infrastructure, power plants, communication hubs, and government buildings. Kaboré's team worked around the clock, intercepting chatter about a potential sabotage plot. Sanogo, under close supervision, continued to play his role, feeding false schedules to his former handlers. One message suggested Ibrahim would attend a public rally in Ouagadougou's central square, a perfect target for disruption. In reality, Ibrahim was miles away, overseeing the operation from a secure bunker. The rally day arrived, tense and electric. Decoy vehicles moved through the city, while Kaboré's team monitored the safe house where the foreign agents were expected to act. At dusk, they struck. A small explosion, meant to sow panic, was thwarted when Kaboré's operatives disabled the device minutes before detonation. The perpetrators, two hired locals and a foreign coordinator, were apprehended on the spot. The coordinator, a man named Ellis, carried a burner phone with direct links to a Western embassy. The arrests sent shockwaves through the foreign network. Embassies scrambled to distance themselves, issuing vague statements about rogue actors. Ibrahim seized the moment, releasing a carefully curated dossier to the press, redacted intercepts, photos of the safe house, and Sanogo's recorded confession. The international community could no longer ignore the evidence. Sanctions were proposed against implicated diplomats, and Burkina Faso's allies in the region voiced support. In Ouagadougou, the mood was triumphant but cautious. Ibrahim addressed the nation again, this time from a packed stadium. "We have faced the shadow and emerged stronger," he said. "But strength is not just in our fists, it is in our unity, our resolve, our refusal to bow." The crowd's cheers were deafening, a testament to a nation reborn. Privately, Ibrahim grappled with the cost. Sanogo's betrayal had wounded him deeply, a scar that would never fully heal. He visited the colonel one last time in his cell. Sanogo, gaunt and broken, looked up. "I know I can't undo what I did," he said, "but I'm glad you stopped them." Ibrahim's gaze was steady. "You'll face justice, Moussa. Not for me, but for the people you betrayed." As the election neared, Ibrahim focused on the future. He launched initiatives to bolster education and healthcare, ensuring the nation's progress outlasted his tenure. Kaboré was promoted, tasked with building a permanent counterintelligence unit. The foreign threat remained, but Burkina Faso was no longer a soft target. Its people, its leader, and its spirit were unbreakable. Under the stars, Ibrahim stood alone, reflecting on the journey. The lion had roared, and the world had heard. The fight was far from over, but as long as he drew breath, Burkina Faso would stand tall.